Hello everyone, my name is Sahai and I'm making this video to talk about an experience I had with a pretty popular creator on this app by the name of Medusa's Judgment or Poetic Exposure TV. I want to start off by saying that this video is not to bash anyone or send hate to anyone. This is just simply me talking about my experience, speaking about my story and my truth. In August of 2022, I DM'd this individual on Instagram saying I'm a really big fan of your content and I enjoy watching your videos. From that initial conversation, we started a flirty back and forth, like get to know you over the phone or FaceTime over text type of relationship, and he seemed really genuine. He seemed like a really nice guy. I really enjoyed talking to him, and eventually, a couple weeks after that initial DM, he suggested that maybe I should come to Philly. We could go to museums, we could go sightsee, I could show you around my city. And he was saying all these things, and I was like, you know what, sure, why not? I start college in about a month. I start my sophomore year of college in about a month, and I have a little bit of free time before the summer finally ends. Why not go to Philly for the first time? It will be fun, you know. He has a lot of stuff planned. So fast forward to the middle of September 2022, I actually go to Philly. When I got to Philly, I quickly realized all the stuff he was telling me we were going to do over the phone was just simply him telling me what I wanted to hear. None of that stuff he had actually planned. None of the stuff that he said we were going to do, we actually did. All the stuff that we did in Philly was me suggesting, like, hey, we should go to the farmer's market, or hey, we should go here. Nothing he did, nothing he said was actually what we did in Philly. And that was okay. I still had a really good time. I spent about a week in Philly. And when I got back to Washington, that's when things got really, really weird. We continued to talk on the phone and text like normal, and he started to talk to me about wanting to move. He was like, yeah, I want to move out of Philly. I hate Philly. I don't want to be here anymore. I've been here for my whole life, 25 years. I want to move and see different things. And I was like, oh, okay, like, cool. Where do you want to move? And he goes, oh, what about Washington? I can move up there with you. And I'm like, oh, well, you should wait a little bit. You should come and see Washington, visit Washington, or save a little bit of money before you just up and move. And he was basically telling me like, oh, don't tell me what to do. I'm grown. I can make my own decisions. I know what's best for me. And I was like, okay, like, you got it. You can do whatever you want. You're right. He then starts saying he wants to move specifically to Bellingham, Washington, my small college town. And when he says this, he suggests that I get a 2-bedroom apartment in my name and he can just move in and live with me. And I shut this down completely quickly, and I was like, I'm not comfortable with that. I don't want to get a 2-bedroom apartment my sophomore year and you just come and live with me. Like, I've only known you for a couple months. I'm not doing that. So he goes on to say like, okay, well, if not, can you just suggest apartments in Bellingham that I could possibly move to? And I was like, okay, like, I can't stop this man from moving. If he's going to move, he's going to move. I can't tell him he can't move. So I was like, yeah, I could look around at some apartments for you and I could suggest a nice couple apartments for you. I suggested 3 apartments for him, one of them being my apartment that I was currently living at because I knew it was a student housing apartment, but it also rented to non-students, and it was very understanding for people who had bad credit or low credit or like financial issues. They were very understanding and they accepted a lot of people. So I knew that when I suggested this apartment for him, that he would most likely get accepted. And he applied and he did get accepted. So 3 weeks after initially seeing him in Philly, he was moving to Washington, specifically Bellingham, Washington. And I couldn't fathom in my brain why he was so quick and urgent, like, to move. But now looking back on it, it's because he saw the financial situation I was in. He saw that I had my own stuff going for me, my own car, a place, and he knew my financial situation was a lot better than his. So he wanted to leech off me and use me. And that's why he was so quick to move, because he thought I was going to be his cash cow. So in the process of moving from Philly to Bellingham, Washington, he takes the Greyhound bus. And when he takes the Greyhound bus, he comes with 1 suitcase. He packs his whole apartment up, sells everything, and comes with 1 suitcase. On the bus, since it's a long bus ride, they stop in different states. They stopped in, I believe, Denver. And when they stopped in Denver, he got out of the bus and walked around. And then when he came back to the Greyhound station to get back on the bus to continue the ride to Bellingham, he realized the bus had gone and left him because he missed it while walking around. So he calls me, he's like, yeah, I missed the bus. They say another bus doesn't come until 9 hours. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's horrible. What are you going to do? And he's like, oh, I don't know. But I was like, hoping you would get like a hotel room for me just for 9 hours while I wait for another bus to come. And I said, no, like, you missed your bus. You were irresponsible. You got off the bus and walked around. It's not my job. This is when the emotional and verbal abuse started. So he starts to yell at me and curse at me over the phone and get mad at me for not helping him buy a hotel room because he missed his bus. And he starts to use these manipulation tactics like, oh, I'm moving all the way out here for you and you can't even buy me a hotel for 9 hours. And I'm just like, no. Mind you, I'd already helped him with his first month's rent. He was saying, I can't pay first month's rent. I'm moving. So I was like, okay, like, I'll help you. I know, you guys, like, I would never do this ever again for anybody. I learned my lesson. I will never help anybody like this ever again. So I helped him with his first month rent already. And now he's asking for more because he missed his bus. I was like, absolutely not. It's not my responsibility to fund your life. Like, no. So he gets mad at me and starts cursing at me and yelling at me over the phone. About a day and a half after that phone conversation when he's yelling at me and cursing, he actually gets to Bellingham. And I go to the Bellingham Greyhound station and go pick him up. So when I go pick him up, I'm being very cordial. I'm being very nice to him. But I can tell that this person in my passenger seat is not the same person that I DM'd on Instagram and is dang sure not the same person that he portrays himself to be on TikTok. This is a very short-tempered individual, very angry individual, and I can tell by the way he's interacting with me, and I can tell by the way he interacted with me the previous day on the phone. So the Bellingham Greyhound station is about 5 minutes from the apartment we were staying at. So we drive to the apartment and we go and look at his apartment. He gets his keys, we go in, and it reeks. It reeks of pee. It smells horrible. The roommate has a cat that has peed on any and everything in sight, and he turns to me and he says like, hey, can I just sometimes stay at your place just to sleep, or sometimes during the day, because I can't, like, the smell, I can't get used to the smell. And I felt really bad, and that was my mistake, feeling bad, my first mistake. And I said yes, and he completely took advantage of this and got really crazy. He would be in my apartment for hours at a time, making skits and TikToks in my clothes, going through my closet, using my dresses, my bonnets, my shirts, everything for his skits, and he would be wearing my clothes in his skits. He would even go live almost daily in my Western Washington University hoodie, and when people would see the live, they would ask him in the comments like, hey, are you going to college? Are you enrolled there? And he would either block them or delete their comments. And just to prove I actually go to that school, here's my ID. When I finally did work up the courage to tell him like, hey, I don't want you here 24/7. I need my space sometimes. You cannot be in my apartment using my room, using my apartment for your TikTok videos 24/7. And this is when he gets violent. When I tried to set this boundary with him, he got so upset, he started throwing things, cursing, punching stuff in my apartment, slamming doors, and even getting in my face trying to physically intimidate me because I told him I can't have you here 24/7. He eventually did leave that day, but I was so shaken up because I was like, oh my gosh, who have I invited into my life? Like, I'm so stupid. Who is this person? I don't even know this person, and I invited them in my life willingly. I'm gonna have to make a part 2 about how he threatened my life on Christmas Eve with knives, but right now I just want to say that I waited so long to say something or to make this video because I felt the power dynamic between me and him. Nobody was going to believe me. And I still feel like not a lot of people are going to believe me because most of his supporters are women who think he's this outstanding, upstanding, nice guy. And I don't fault them because I thought the same thing, but I just felt like no one would believe my story. He has all these supporters, all these followers. No one's going to believe, what I'm saying. And I still feel that way, but I wanted to put this out there because I know I'm not his only victim and there's other women that he has affected and they should come forward as well.